cut off the air, and our conversation got interrupted like midstream. We're talking about Katniss Everdeen, whether or not she had agency or not. That's the whole topic of the show, was agency for your character. And as I was pulling up the software here, I forgot where we were in the conversation. So let's pick it back up where we were.
Oh, well, that Katniss, whether or not she's sort of a Mary Sue, because her true agency lies in survival and taking the world that's directly around her and moving on and attacking and just using the instruments at hand. Now, sometimes she's given it by, ethereal characters, by her drunken Gandalf.
Right. Well, no. So and the point I was going to make was about young adult fiction doing this. Young adult fiction creates, sometimes in fantasy young adult, they create the survival is the reason that the character must take agency. They're not taking control because they want to, or because they are feeling a sense of themselves and confidence, and I'm going to be in charge of my own life. They take agency because they have to, because if they don't, they'll be dead, right? And to your point about the bigger world, how does their experience impact the bigger world? That's a real challenge, I think, in young adult novels, because we get a lot of this idea that because this 16-year-old girl did this thing, the rest of the world is changing because of this small decision that she has made, or a decision that she has made.
Well, it's the only decision she can make, unless she can commit suicide. Giving up is like committing suicide.
And it can be hard to accept that as an adult reading these stories, that a young person, number one, would have to make this decision on her own, right? That there isn't anybody there to help her. And then number two, that her decision is the one that matters. Where are the grown-ups in this scenario?
The grown-ups are the ones doing it to them.
Yeah, and then in a lot of cases that's true, right? Where the grown-ups are the ones that are so sort of blinded by their own ambition and by their own experience that they can't even see that what they've built needs to come apart.
Right.
There's a great series by one of my favorite romance writers. She wrote this cool, like, futuristic sci-fi kind of thing called Junko. My name, call me Junko, I think is her name. Anyway, and it's this character, this young woman, continually says, why am I the only one available to make these choices? Like, why isn't somebody else doing this? And it's that sort of self-awareness of the fact that she should not be in this situation that makes it such a compelling series. There's 3 of them, 3 books in the trilogy. And all 3 of them were really interesting to me, because here's this, it's not just an anti-hero. She has her own ambitions of things that she wants to accomplish, and they don't line up with what the rebels or whatever want her to do, because she's like, look, man, this is your war. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And I found it compelling. But we don't get that very often. We don't get sort of a that's not true, actually. I think we do see a lot of that. Here's what you're supposed to do, and then here's what you actually do. And the tension between those two things can create, but that character has to choose against what they're supposed to do. Mm. Any other final thoughts for our patrons?
I think you pretty much covered it.
All right. I do some monologuing around here every now and then. Thanks for being patrons. Thanks for being part of the show. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend.